With the information at hand now, ignorantly use them to cook.
We cannot afford this now. What do we do? All we were taking in is poison. They are still drinking till this moment.
They are not well, they are sick. They are just like a moving car.
I know that government have the resources to do that. Yeah. If they have the political will to do it, they can do it.
Ogoni land is a tiny cluster of small villages in Rivers State, southern Nigeria. With a population of about 1 million people, it is the pioneering oil-producing region of Niger Delta, from which Nigeria gets its status as Africa's largest oil producer and the 7th largest in the world. Despite the milk and honey spewing out of this land to the federal government, none of it flows into the homes of the host community. Excruciating poverty, poor health remain their life's testimony, and the region is a hotbed of youth restiveness, cultism, and communal clashes. More than 50 years of exploitation from multinational oil companies have messed up the area, leaving the people whose main preoccupation is fishing and farming no choice but to farm in poisonous land and river. Comparatively, Ogoni is rated the most polluted place on earth, and of grave concern is the pollution of the surface and groundwater, which deprives the people access to safe drinking water, a fundamental human right. Apart from the social-economic impacts of pollution, the extent of ecological degradation is still very palpable when I visited in August. Black cakes of crude from several decades of oil spills could be seen in some creeks around Goi, a valley village between Bodo West and Kedere in the Gokana local government area of the region. Large mangroves forests where fishes used to lay egg no longer exist. The people told me that near the creeks they used to readily pick up mud skippers and periwinkles which they subsist on. But these aquatic lives are no more there. The only option they now have is to rent a speedboat that will take them to the high sea, where they can at least get some catch. But they can't even afford the cost of journeying that far. The hardship in this region today is basically the failure of the Nigerian government to implement environmental protection laws to checkmate the operations of oil companies. Consequently, the youths, out of frustration and vengeance on the Nigerian state, have resorted to militancy and criminality, which have led to unrest and insecurity in the region. In 2011, a report by the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, red flagged one of the Ogoni communities as needing emergency action. The report reads, "Of most immediate concern, community members at Insisi Ogali are drinking water from wells that is contaminated with benzene, a known carcinogen, at levels over 900 times above the World Health Organization's guideline. This contamination warrants emergency action ahead of all other remediation efforts." When I traveled in August, I met 61-year-old Grace Namon, the convener of Women of Peace movements in the region, who told me that provision of alternative water supply, which is an emergency measure, is the least of the government's concern.
Went and bring all this report. It's when they come and bring this report that we know that that we were happy that we have water, we were taking water, that all we were taking in is poison. We are still drinking till this moment because even the provision that they asked High Prep to do for us, they did not. We saw it in their report as emergency measure, and that emergency measure have not been provided for us till now. That they should give us water, they should give us clean special hospital, or even make provisions. If they cannot make the special one, make the available one equip.
There is no water in Ogoni. The people are still drinking this contaminated water that UNEP said we should not drink. There is no area in Ogoni that have been confirmed that their water is pure, because no borehole in Ogoni has a treatment plant. And it has been confirmed by UNEP that Ogoni water is contaminated with 99% above World Health Standard. And I have not seen any water plant that has water treatment. A treatment plant attached to it.
So how do people get their water?
Everybody had dug his own borehole If you drill a borehole up to 20 feet and you see water, you couple it and start drinking it. There's no treatment plant. I have a borehole here and it was confirmed that it's contaminated. And it's more than even 20 feet deep. And it was contaminated. What to talk of those who are drilling nearby borehole and they are drinking, they are consuming it. So the first thing they would have done is to provide alternative means of getting water supply. I raised, while I was a member of the emergency measures committee during the preparation of the template for the report. And I told them that in Ogoni, there are there's a blueprint for water project in the whole Ogoni. They should improve on that blueprint.
So why has it not been done?
They refuse because it's a deliberate attempt to frustrate the effort of UNEP for gainful purposes. Because if they were willing to do it, they would have, consulted if it is Shell who mounted the borehole or government. Right to the government, we want to improve on this borehole or this tank or the water you provided for social community. Then they will now add a treatment plant to the refurbished water board that is existing all over Ogoni land to supply water to the environment that we are polluted by this benzene.
Pauline Isuzu is a 47-year-old mother of 3 who lives in Insisio-Ken Ogali in Eleme local government area, a district home to 2 of Nigeria's 4 refineries and the country's biggest export seaport. In the last 8 years of living in this community, she struggles to access clean water for things as basic as cooking, washing kitchen utensils, and even bathing.
I'm Mrs. Paul Isuzu.
You live in this area?
Yes.
How long have you been here?
Since 2012.
Okay. So how do you get your drinking water?
We buy water.
From where?
Other area that have clean water or pure water to drink.
Okay.
So
You can always afford
to
it.
flush it. We cannot afford it now. What do we do? Like sometimes they give this public water.
Okay.
So we just go there and fetch and drink. The day they do not give food.
Who used to give the public water?
It's government now, once in a while. So if maybe when they bring it during the daytime, we fetch.
How far is it from here?
Very far.
The place where they give the public water, how far is it from here?
Let me see. From here to down the primary school, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. This one is from the borehole we see.
You sunk a borehole?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the water that...
This is the water, and this one has been here for 2 days. That is why it's like this. Immediately when you pump, you just perceive the fuel odor and other chemical odor. And when you leave it like this is just see it flowing on top.
The fuel will be flowing on top?
Yes.
Okay. So you can't drink this water?
You cannot drink it. We are just using it to flush toilets, maybe sometimes for washing. Washing of clothes. Even when you use it to wash clothes, you see difference.
It used to spoil clothes?
Yeah. No. It does not spoil clothes.
Lucky Saro is an unemployed university graduate who can only afford to live in one of the rooms in a cluster of bungalows facing each other on number 10 School Road where he lives. He took me to the well inside his compound, and as he pulled out the water, that rainbow-like sheen and the smell of fuel is unmistakable.
The water situation in Ogoni, not until the United Nations Environmental Program came in to ascertain the level of contamination.
No.
We have been living here ignorantly using the water for years, donkey of years, without knowing that the groundwater has been contaminated.
Okay.
Until the water started manifesting in bad form, as in having odor and change in color, before physical changes, before we knew. If not, the community were using the water ignorantly and people were dying of strange diseases. Okay. So for over 15 years now, nobody in my community drinks water from the community, groundwater. No borehole is useful. Some borehole you can use them to wash. Some borehole you cannot use them to wash because they are hard water. They can't even bring out any foam. So the only thing we use our water best to do is to flush toilets and maybe wash the floor and wash cars. Some people still, with the information at hand, ignorantly use them to cook.
Okay.
Use them to cook. Some people, because their own water is not smelling, it doesn't have color, they also think that their water is good.
Okay.
So we continue to use contaminated water that contains a very high level of benzene.
Okay.
And it has brought about the shortage in the lifespan of the residents here and some strange diseases that we don't know.
Okay.
That's the situation we have found ourselves because we produce oil.
Walking through the streets of Ogoni, one could see several failed attempts at providing sustainable drinking water for the people at one point or the other. These are projects done by the state and federal governments as well as some non-governmental organizations. Many of the residents interviewed were weary of the government's failed promises and responded with cynicism. They told me that they are only remembered during election when some grandiloquent politicians come, sink some borehole just to get voted into office, and then in a matter of seconds it dries up. A set of dry rusty taps were seen at Aloiken Farm Road in Ogoni. It is a water project of the National Petroleum Corporation which has now stopped working. Moving a few meters away from there is a big black falling tank which the villagers said was vandalized by some angry youths. Chief Imapi is the village head of Debon community. He is also the secretary of the Council of Village Heads in Bodo City in Gokana local government area. When I met him that Friday, he told me I was lucky to meet him alive because he had been sick from bad water.
If you look at somewhere as you are coming in, on your right, entering this community, there's a water facilities at somewhere there. And that thing was built by the state government, Minister of Water Resources.
What year?
About that was 1993. It was added, it was enlarged.
1993? That was before the death of the killing of
Ken now.
Ken.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was when that facility was built by Ompadek or something.
Oh yes, Ompadek, yeah.
After a year of commissioning that job, the water stopped. Though from our work, you might have of strengthening transparency and accountability in the Niger Delta. That is an NGO. Stand work with PNI, SDN, and I think it was a joint venture. They came in here, and from our work, from our advocacy job we did for this community, the state government awarded a contract for the extension of that water facilities. They came in, they extended pipes and did some water. I have the mapping.
This year?
No.
So what year was that?
That was
after 1993.
2011, 2012. I have the mapping, the sketch of the extension. And after just about 6 months, after the water runs stopped till today.
Till this moment.
The government and federal government has done nothing about water.
So what water do you drink, sir?
We drink water from stream.
This polluted stream?
Yes, we drink water from our wells. We drink water from our boreholes. But I want to let you know that once you drink the water, you will test petroleum, especially the well water and the stream water. They are visible there.
Okay, so what has been the government's intervention? For example, is there any constituency project on water? You have your senator representing you at the federal government. At the Senate, Federal Republic, you have at the Rivers State Assembly. So what has been their responses and what are the constituency projects that they have done in that community?
Well, when you talk about politicians, there is nothing like constituency project. Senator House of Red, nothing like that has been seen. I think 2 years ago that the Rivers State government and the SPDC came together to renovate the water board we have here. And the water board is even in another community, Alessa, and was piped to our community. So the pressure couldn't pump to our community. But the water that they planted in another community and piped, the water is really good, but it wasn't evenly distributed, so it didn't really get to us. And the change of government also affected it, because to buy diesel to pump the water became a problem. The local government could not afford to buy diesel to pump the water, so water is not even forthcoming. And even if it's forthcoming, it doesn't even get to our people, which are the people suffering the contamination.
Okay.
Then, last year, the Niger Delta Basin Development Authority also came and planted one solar water in our place, but still that one is contaminated. You see, still that one is contaminated. And just this year, there is an NGO, Soko Foundation, that came and planted one borehole in my own family compound for the people. Even at the depth of 250 meters, the water was still contaminated and smelling. So the problem is not the project, water project. The problem is there is no place can get clean water in the community.
Wow.
So the UNEP report stated clearly that before any cleanup can commence, as a matter of urgency, potable drinking water should be given to the people that are dying. Because what we are in now is just a death sentence. You're just smiling, waiting for the day death will come, because all of us know we will die. The average lifespan in August is 40 years. It's 40 years.
Okay, what do you think about the fact that no water up to now in the land and the people are struggling?
Yes, obviously, I do believe and I agree that should have been one of the first things to be done. And when the report was first released in 2011, the then governor of Rivers State provided water to some of the communities through water trucks, which wasn't good enough. And then that faded out. And since then, nothing tangible in that regard has taken place. It's rather regrettable, but as we speak, and maybe as you also know, bids have been opened and contracts are being placed for rehabilitation of 6 dilapidated water works in Ogoni land, which would provide water beyond the polluted areas. And I have actually also asked to find out how that addresses all the issues, and I'm assured that there would also be a comprehensive water supply scheme aimed especially at the areas with polluted underground water. But what is being done, what is about being done in terms of rehabilitating abandoned water works? As you are well aware, that a lot of water works have been abandoned across the country. People hardly open the public taps for water these days.
Since the people still drink and use the water that has been found to contain high level of hydrocarbon, especially a known carcinogen, the people confirm that they experience all sorts of strange diseases and deaths, which they sometimes blame on witches or spiritual attack. A tour around the communities, you will see a lot of obituary posters, especially that of young people. Also, commonly observed in the place are uncompleted houses. The villagers explained that the reason is because those who start building the houses do not live long enough to complete it before they pass away. The average lifespan in the area is around 41 years. Benzene is a slightly yellow, sometimes colorless hydrocarbon found in crude oil. It is a known carcinogen and it works by causing cells to malfunction. According to the Center for Disease and Control, it causes bone marrow not to produce enough red blood cells, which can lead to anemia. Also, it can damage the immune systems by changing blood levels of antibodies, causing loss of white blood cells. The common symptoms such as drowsiness, dizziness, rapid or irregular heartbeat and confusion can cause any of the diseases that the people of this area experience.
You cannot be drinking this benzene water, carbon water, and live as a people before the cleanup, because the cleanup will last between 5 to 25 years before then all of us will just die away. As you see me, I'm just like a moving corpse. You can see since you came here, I've not been feeling fine. And what is affecting me is from what I inhale, what I take in, what I drink, the type of food I eat, because they all are polluted.
Becoming so common, so rampant. Sicknesses like breast cancer, premature birth, miscarriages, eye blindness, aching, headache, cancer, to mention but few. All these sicknesses were not in this region very rampant. Even this typhoid. It is at this my age that I'm becoming victim of typhoid, and that become complaint of everybody. Typhoid, malaria, typhoid and malaria. We have been experiencing little malaria when it is rainy season, that everywhere become breeding place for mosquito if you are not protected. But typhoid was not a sickness, but it's very rampant disease.
It's not found anywhere again apart from here. For women above 60 years that will have pepper body. You know what I mean? Pepper body as constantly unstopped hot body. And when the weather is hot like this, they can't wear clothes. It's just like somebody rubbing pepper on your body.
Okay.
You see, unnecessary hot body, the cells of the skin, I don't know if they can't protect the skin again, or they are turned into something else. And women constantly have pepper body. That one is one strange disease.
Okay.
Another one is the twist in the cataract of the eyes and begin to affect the eyes of our people.
Okay.
And they don't, so many people have problems of the eyes now as a result of that.
Okay.
Another one is fertility rate has also reduced. You see couples that will be married for 10 years, 5 years, 6 years without having issues.
Go to this community proper, just at the junction there. I want to let you know that every week, at least we bury 10 cows, both young and old. And there are a lot of miscarriages. There is a lot of skin bond that shows that this is the water you are drinking, is the type of air you breathe in, is the way you pass your life within the community, and what is happening inside the environment. So the evidence is clear, quite clear. Just as you are moving, you are in Bodo now. Look at the people. See them, look at what they are passing through. They are not well, they are sick. They are just like a moving corpse.
Following the report of the United Nations Environment Programme released in 2011, the Nigerian government set up the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, IPREP, to implement the recommendations, one of which is to provide alternative water supply. Despite this, the body began the remediation exercise in 2019, while the people are still drinking water of cancer. However, when contacted, the project coordinator of IPREP, Marvin Dekil, says the responsibility to provide water supply for the people of Ogoni lies with the Rivers State government and not that of a time-bound intervention project as is.
So we want to note that the responsibility to provide water rests with government, not with a project like us. What we are doing, we're only intervening. So whatever facilities we build, we will still hand it over to the government of Rivers State for sustainability reasons.
Okay.
We are a project with fixed time, and the need for water will continue way beyond us. Just as the lack of water in these communities has existed several decades before hybrid, and it's a successive failure of managing and installing these facilities in a sustainable way that has caused the lack of water. So if you go to Ogoni, you will see infrastructure splits all over there. So why is there no water over over 4 decades, 5 decades? Why is there no water?
Yeah.
There's no water because there has been no sustainable plan. And that's what we are doing differently in hybrid. And we're only doing it on the hybrid project is ideally following the Union report will be like 5% of the Ogoni population. So we're going way beyond what is recommended there.
On the 28th of August, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project tweeted that water supply to Ogoni land will begin before the end of the year. That's about 3 to 4 months away. Are the people excited about this news? For how long will they wait for these water messiahs? Perhaps to the next generation.
The companies that will install the facilities
Okay.
or rehabilitate the facilities that will
Okay.
provide water. We are not supplying water, because when you say supply water now, people might think it to be that you're trucking water and that kind of thing. So we are not supplying water, but we are installing the facilities, the infrastructure for water.
Okay. So when will the water
Yes.
supply come then? Because you said before the end of the year, I saw in your tweets.
So that's exactly what I'm saying. The infrastructure is you build water treatment facilities, water facilities.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have an
So
idea?
we're getting the contractors that will build those facilities
Okay.
for
Okay.
water. Yes.
Okay. So later on then, or when should the water supply be expected to start?
Once the facilities are built, once the facilities are there, the water will start flowing.
Oh, okay, sir.
So
Okay.
those contractors will be on site this year. That's what I'm saying.
Because I know that government have the resources to do that. If they have the political will to do it, they can do it.
Before the spill, our survivor was from the river and from our farm. We don't ask any person for anything. This place was as green as possible, and the economy was buoyant because of our struggle. We are not lazy. We go to fishing, we go to farming, and life was ongoing. We never complained to anybody. But when that thing came and destroyed all we have, that was why this thing came up. So they promised that they would come to do cleanup, that they will return our land to its normal status. Before shed came, and before this spill and so on, I've told you we were living the fine, the forest life. You see, everywhere was green. I can show you after the spill and before the spill. I want to let you know that that time as a young man, I train myself. When I go to primary school, I go to fishing here, do the fishing in the daytime or even after school. I can make some catches, I will come and sell it to prepare myself for school. And my mother and the other little ones goes to farm and bring the produce. And what I bring from fishing, we now bring them together, and there is food for everybody on the table. Okay, there was no prostitutions. There was no social reflectiveness as is happening now, like the youth reflectiveness. It wasn't there because parents can now cater for their family and take care of them. So that's how it was before. It was a beautiful life to live.
Sweet and light, Nigeria's code, as it is described, has not done much for these people, from whose land a huge quantity is mined, except to leave a sour taste in their mouth and a heavy burden on their hearts. Abiose Adelaja Adams, reporting from Ogoni land, Rivers State, southern Nigeria.